my goodness.
That seems to
was
go on
very
forever.
crisp. Yeah, we're long, like crisp beer opening today, Chris.
I don't know. I'm finally getting the hang of this.
Finally getting the hang of this. You know, the people like to hear that. If you go and just scroll down on Facebook and all of the auto playing videos and you have your volume on at the time, you get to hear all of the beer. You get to see my face like looking very
We should put together just a beer opening montage.
Oh my God. You know, see, that's what we need to do, Chris. I really thought about that. Well, and not just making like beer montages, but like also making a like a montage of just amazing live stream moments, quotes,
For sure.
features, special guests,
silliness.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I've already it captured a few clips of some of the most hilarious things you said. Chance is in the comments. Boo.
Who are you booing?
Chance, who are you booing right now?
It was a preemptive boo.
Was it a preemptive boo for poor Midnight over there? Hey, Midnight. Fabulous. She is here with her wine. Yes. Welcome, Marina. So good to have you. That is his pre-boo to me, says Midnight. Terrible. Well, we're so thrilled that you guys are here. We just love all y'all. I had a pretty amazing weekend, and I hope you did too, Chris. Chris, tell me first about your weekend.
My weekend? Well, let's see. What did I do? I did a lot of writing, but I also
fabulous.
And I went yesterday. I went and visited some friends in Newtown who are lovely. We had a nice dinner. We haven't seen them since whenever the hell 20.
What year even is it? What is even happening?
And my friend David Wheeler and I, he's a musician as well, and we're gonna have a gig. We're gonna have a gig at the Newtown Arts Festival.
When is that, Chris?
In September 18th or 19th or something like that. I'll put it out there, but we're gonna call ourselves Belden Wheeler, and we'll play some tunes. Yeah.
What a fabulous weekend! You saw some friends finally, and did some writing. That's an amazing weekend to me.
Good weekend. That's a successful week.
I think so. I went to the New York City Poetry Festival yesterday. Woo!
On Governor's Island.
Everyone who was there reading. What's that? On Governor's Island. It was an absolutely gorgeous day yesterday. It also continued today, and it was a little bit gloomy earlier, a little bit rainy. But then the sun came out in the afternoon, and actually 2 of our readers tonight were just there doing feature readings at the Poetry Festival, like at 5:30. So they ran home for you. So you are getting not only such a fabulous show, but maybe a little bit of the Poetry Festival if you live far away. They're bringing some of those vibes to you.
Some spillover.
Yeah. So we are so excited for our show tonight, and we're excited that so many of you are coming in early. We see Mom and Dad are here. Yeah. Dare is here.
Hey, Mom and Dad. Wait, hold on a second. It's National Parents Day.
Oh, Mom and Dad.
Congratulations, Mom and Dad, for being obviously very good parents.
Oh, Chris, thank you.
Well, you'd have to be very good parents to put up with your daughter Katie there.
Terrible.
I'm sorry. I've been hanging around Chance and
you gotta rag on me a little bit. Well, they do have to put up with my level of chattiness, so that is something that is a bit of a hardship sometimes.
They got the earplugs.
Earplugs. Well, sometimes they, it's a good idea. But anyhow, it is 8:00. It is 8:01, in fact, and it is time for our official welcome, everybody, to FUMFA 60. This is our 60th live stream since we started, since pretty much the beginning of pandemic lockdown. And we are so excited to welcome tonight so many incredible poets, performance poets, that we've sort of met through this whole journey of having the live stream and getting introduced to so many different people. So tonight we have for you LaTorre, Nathaniel Bek, Ray Jane, Vasilios Leon, and Elemen2al. And we cannot wait for you to hear them tonight. We are so pumped, and they have such great stories of how they're connected. They're so active on social media and in all different kinds of readings. It'll be amazing to hear them and also to ask them some questions. So we have a group reading tonight, but we also have a return of our Q&A time because we have kind of just few enough features tonight to, have a good Q&A. So make sure to save up your questions, share them with us, and we will make sure that they get asked.
During as they say, put them in the chat.
Yeah. Yes. Yesterday, when I was at the New York City Poetry Festival, I saw several friends of the live stream and some friends from Put It in the Chat, and it was amazing. I got to see Lona Jack Vilmar. I got to see Tanya Kohong, one of our guests who's coming up soon, and we spent most of the day together. It was amazing. I got to meet in person Scott Pleasance, who was with us on Put It into Chat night, and he's a frequent guest over there. And Jerry Johnson. Oh, it was just absolutely wonderful. And, we felt that that Midnight was there with us in spirit, Chance too. And we just wish you guys could have, come on over from Colorado and Florida and been there with us.
Take that ferry ride.
Yeah. And also, I wish I could have been there today if I hadn't had to work. It would have been so amazing to get to hear Ray Jane and Paul in person this evening. So awesome. So great. Well, Chris, before we introduce our first reader of the night, can you tell us what's coming up?
Absolutely. Next week, we have, speaking of Tanya Kohong, who you hung out with.
Yeah.
She will be here next week along with Barbara Crooker, another wonderful poet. Then we have Beth Tillman from the FUMFA family.
Nice.
Laurel Peterson, that'll be on the 8th. We got, and then down the road, we got Rosalind Stevenson and Ezra Lovecroft. We got Jerry Johnson, who you just were hanging with, and Sally Knacker. And then we take a little break. And on the other side of the break, we have some more superstars.
Yeah.
We're going to announce that later down the road. But
so we're very excited about that. And if you are someone who would be interested in reading or featuring with us for any kind of reading, a feature, a theme night, an open mic night that's coming up, which we will announce in the fall, but you would like to preemptively get in touch with us, please do follow us on social media, send us a message. We always want to meet new people and get people involved. And we also like to have returning readers as well. So just reach out if you'd like to be on, and we'd really love to have you. Without further ado, Chris, it is time to get started with our readings for tonight, right? Indeed. Let's get Nathaniel back up here. Chris, do you want to click or should I click?
You click. I'm busy clicking other things.
I will click. But we sometimes, maybe we'll get so good at it we won't have to mention it anymore. But sometimes we both click the buttons at the same time. We don't have to
come off, they disappear.
Anyways, welcome, Nathaniel.
Welcome. I'm so happy to be here and so grateful. I just can't believe that it's happening. So this is wonderful.
Not only is it happening, but you got that very groovy microphone. You got the DJ thing happening.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
so good. All right, Chris, would you like to do the honors of reading his bio, or I have it here. All right,
I got it right here. Nathaniel Bek. He's a writer and an artist from Northeast Wisconsin. That's up there. He was selected Editor's Choice for Poetry in Phoenix Magazine and was a semifinalist for Eber and Wien. Several of their poems can also be found in Narrative Northeast. He has competed nationally for spoken word at the National Poetry Slam and Individual World Poetry Slam. He organized and hosted Get Lit, a literary series that was nominated Best of Orlando. He is the recipient of the 2020 3 Mile Harbor Press Poetry Book Award for his collection Atrophy of the Boy Who Became a Wishing Well, which came out just last month.
Woo!
You can find that wherever books are sold. I'm assuming he can be found curating the wind online at NCBEK Poetry. So everybody, welcome Nathaniel Bek. Okay, I'm getting on.
Hello and welcome. As they said, I am from Wisconsin, and in Wisconsin, it is told as tradition. Tales of boys turned men, rites of passage, unsettling the trees. There are stories written in the snow here that will last well after it is melted. We are all the silent roosters of wilderness, cracking the morning sun like an egg, perched on the edge of hunting, the shadowless stalkers of nature. I don't think you ever forget the first time you reached the summit of an ecosystem, preying on the forest like you are your own natural disaster. I remember the first time I held a gun. Like excitement had a weight to it, like power had a weight to it, like fear had a weight to it. I know the bull that rests at the edge of this trigger. There is a bull behind this fence. There is no room for fear, no toddler toys and blankets, just the deer and the silence. It is time to be a man now, so saddle up and take the shot. You are the one in power, but things are much easier to process when at a distance. But maybe I just can't describe the way eyes look when there isn't life in them. Maybe I need to man up, get over it. It was just a deer. Guns are meant to kill things anyways, right? Just ask the assault rifles, the high-capacity mags. Maybe this is the rite of passage we asked for. But we aren't talking about hunting anymore, are we? There is no venison here. When we've turned streetlights to trees, nightclubs to forests, classrooms to open fields, there is no poetic way to say Parkland happened. Las Vegas happened. Pulse happened. There is no poetic way to say weapons of war are legal, that we keep searching for manhood behind a gun, that killing is okay if the police do it. But they say it wasn't the gun. Say it was the security guard, the teacher, pill bottles, society. They say hunting helps control the population of animals. But they never talk about what we should do when we become the deer. Thank you. That is a tradition, and I'm so glad to be here with you all. I write about a lot of different things like masculinity, various traumas in my life, various social issues and things like that. In my most recent book, Atrophy of the Boy Who Became a Wishing Well, I also write about deer, and this poem is that. It's called Roadkill and Other Myths. Some days, when I look at myself, I am a deer in the headlights. But what do you do when you start to resemble the car? A deer is not a vehicle, but don't they hit the same? Head-on and reckless. My face resembling a 30-year-old car, I have seen this body of a rusting heap barreling down on my childhood. I called it anger. I called it burning wreck. I called the car man. I am not this car, this aggression, this metal body for breaking. I am the deer. But once you have been hurt by a weapon, you are afraid to become one. You will often see yourself reflected in their metallic. Replace your name with fear until your face resembles it. Adolescence can look like survival when mating season is a 4-year residency and growing up. Mark your territory like a rub is the only way to write your name. Kiss the gravel with your teeth enough, and you will forget what your own mouth is supposed to taste like. When I was a fawn, I ground the velvet off my antlers enough times to know masculinity was a weapon. I said it like windshield, but wrote it down like destruction on anywhere it would land, even when it was me. And didn't you know? Boys can become bucks if you make them. So call me young buck of a man. Accident in the forest, call me an accident. When you learn its definition like me, you walk into everything like it's a fight. Like this hasn't been a hunt you have been outrunning since birth. Like you don't have to look both ways before crossing the street. Call this kind of trust another word for pain. When you learn to move your mouth through the vibrations of a car, how do you begin to speak when you start to make the same rumbling sounds? I wish I knew masculinity through a different voice like, can ambition be more than anger if you make your family sound like wilderness? Can you know sex without clothing yourself in pornography? Can you be a father if you never leave? Can you be more than violence, be more than abuse, be more than a weapon? Can you hold on to someone with antlers and never hurt them? Can you see the light on the road and not become the fear? Am I the deer or the car barreling down this road, even if I find myself on a different path, full throttle, heart and engine that hasn't quit yet, with this loose muffler smile that hangs and scrapes sometimes, this flat tire speech that keeps speaking, even when the rubber has worn off? It will sound like, I'm not the car. I gotta keep running. I am not the car. I gotta outrun this. I am not the car. Thank you. Speaking of my father once told me that baseball is made up of legacies. And legacy is soil. Etch-a-sketching backyards against blue jeans, grass a lightning storm following each footstep home, and home is empty. White picket fence, no gate, all stadium and no team, just tight breaths caught in a vacuum called alone. And alone is boy. Is he a man now stranger? Come play catch with him. Turn leather skin of hands broken. Gloves are meant to be molded, clamped down till teeth made tender. Some words will make him soften. Call him fat. Call him stupid. Call him son. Arms, tree trunks for hitting home runs. Where do you run to when the home is where the hitting happens? When the ball is always in your court, when you've never had someone throw it to. I bet your abuse's sympathy wishes you had a pinch hitter. Pinch hitter is brother. Same blood, same skin, same story, writing its pages over different decades. Bruises, a card collection of best hitters you call family, you call strike. An echo chamber of stadium seating where no one's watching you. Strike, all fingers loaded, postmarked for Louisville. Strike, you are out. Outnumbered by years, fist finding their way through your family tree. Outpaced by blood boiling at the roots. Outsmarted by abuse now called father. And you see, a fist is so much harder to see when it's shaped like a hug. And legacy is soil, stain-stitching jeans you wear in your backbone. Blood, a lightning storm beneath your skin, following each footstep home. And home is always family, always empty to you now. This last poem I'm going to leave you with is titled A Memoir of Clouds. And it speaks to losing myself through growing up and what masculinity means to me, and these things that we constantly fight with as we try and figure out the difficulties of finding ourselves in gender and through society and things like that. I have unmarried my longing morrow from this tethered choir of skin, this autumn of molting gallery of cicada wings, Is it time to discard this earthly husk? I have littered our conversations enough with parts of my body, given my all to this rustic moon, this vengeance of shadowed beds, or all that I have put to rest. Your name no longer hibernates in my cheeks. And isn't this a death worth burying? And isn't what we had a type of always, a practice waltz of funerals we made of the night, of our voices, how I gave the strongest parts of me to you? The first time I abandoned myself, I was 10. 16, 21, 27. Is age just a number or a collection of goodbyes we keep celebrating? The first time I abandoned myself is a lie I let linger in me now. A still reminder of all the mirrors I have become, shattered returns of an echo, a kaleidoscope of bladed selves. I remember the first time I clung to anything that was not my blood, and I named it love. And what is love if not something we can touch inside us? And what is touch if not everything I have opened with my body? And what is an opening but the sky? This god of unending sunsets, how every day is a sort of death we keep accepting, and every morning is a return, a stammering palm of lungs, these anxious gifts of fleeting song, this orchestra of eternals I have known to harden, this memorial of muted fauna I keep grieving. I hold a photo of a child, palms adrift in question, a teddy bear, an eternity of permanence between them, the boy, the hand, the lush abundance of soft welcoming. Did I ever touch it? Would I ever know? How removed I am from this doppelganger of benign beginnings. Even now in my 30s, hands outstretched in the vastness of my own learning, I am a metropolis of vacant children. A chasm of vanishing clouds, a still calm of disjointed shadows. I wish I could splinter this unloved, delicate into me. But this photo is no longer a form of ownership. And I am no longer a form of this boy. In its place, my first memory is the tractor, the cowboy, the knife fight. Maybe if I try hard enough, this tractor can be a metaphor for growth, this cowboy a longing noon survival, this knife fight a form of severing the long from the dark. Maybe I can make a cemetery of failed beginnings, these memoirs of preserved smiles, a covenant, this poem, an oath, to avenge all that I have given, this skin, this blood, this ripe meadow of love me nots. If this poem is a promise, then let it be to myself, to you, to everyone I have ever buried. Let it be of a tree I take back from the ground. Let this poem be everything that moves, a startling of melodies we claim and claim again for ourselves. How I want to name this my body. How I want this to feel like forever, this caged existence we call skin, where everything I have touched has touched me. A night so vast it never stops speaking, an answering of wishes we cast out of the dead, and everything leaving, like an unnumbering of stars that keeps expanding, burning into this great unknown of fragile existence. Thank you. Again, my name is Nathaniel Bek, and you can find me at NCBEK Poetry. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, Nathaniel, these poems are so incredibly powerful and so necessary and just so gorgeous. I just thank you so much for everything that you've shared.
And you're just the way you read them is so right. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, on the page they'll have a huge impact, but hearing them just really brings it home. So thank you.
And thank you so much. Hearing them straight, straight from you. absolutely incredible poems. And, you got to go later and check out Facebook and YouTube and just see all of the comments, all of the love, just how everybody was so moved by your poems.
Thank
All
you so
right.
much. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you. Stick around for a Q&A. So if anybody has questions for Nathaniel, please.
Questions, yes.
Put them in the chat and we will get to them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nathaniel.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, Chris, we need to bring up Ray Jane.
My dad.
Hey, Ray Jane.
Hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
All right.
Ray Jane.
Okay.
Yes, you sound great. You just came from the New York City Poetry Festival. We are so honored that you're with us tonight after running home.
I had to get home. I couldn't miss this.
Yeah. All right, Ray Jane, I'm going to introduce you with your bio. Ray Jane is a Black female poet born in Brooklyn and raised in Far Rockaway, Queens. She uses her poetry to lift herself and other women of color. Always aiming to strengthen her voice, Ray Jane was also the recent winner of the Verb Benders Slam Poetry Team's inaugural Poetry Slam and was published in La Libreta .online. An online poetry journal for women in creative rebellion. She has participated in poetic writing workshops focused on empowering women like Rola's Writes Presents, Respite, Write, and Release, among many others, and served as contributing editor for the anthology Love Letters to Gaia. You can hear more of how she uses her voice in over 50 recorded poems on SoundCloud. Go check it out. Walking Around NYC on the app here. Before and on several podcasts, including We Be Imagining, Black Siren Radio, and Soundminds podcasts, Potent Women Wordsmiths. And you can also learn more online at her website. It's rayjane.com. Amazing. We'll leave you to it, Ray Jane.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction. I just want to shout out FUMFA Live for having me in general, and also Paul for inviting me, and all the other wonderful writers that I'm sharing space with. Thank you for your time and attention. So I have 3 pieces for you guys. The first one is a request from my dad, who's sitting next to me. It's called Sobering, which I actually wrote almost a year ago. And it's in response to all the killings of Black men in the streets by the police.
Ray Jane, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Do you have
I want to go where people know the people are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. But do you? Because in America, in the world, to know a Black name is a dangerous game. Our names come with hashed toe tags, Black ladies shouldering death bags, carrying always. Cheers. Lift your glass, pour some for everybody Black. Run it back. You want to go where people know the people are all the same. Yeah, but not really. Because when them things come out, them steals, then blues, stealing Black skin, never enough to provoke white chagrin, shoot up my church. And y'all get Burger King, but we get hard knocks on doors. If lucky, more likely 22 shots from power drunk cop. Shot. Everybody shouting. But arrest Brianna's killers if you really bout it. We finna get lit, they finna get everybody. Cheers. Lift your glass. Pour some for everybody Black. Run it back. You wanna go where you can see our troubles are all the same. But no, it ain't the same. When a Black body gets dismantled on every TV, on every mantle, and somehow gets the blame, ain't no Karens getting looted. At most, they getting booted. I'm quoting Mooney, saying must be nice, having the complexion for the protection, never having to ask for justice twice. Nonetheless, innumerable times for white skin, there is a difference between infamy and fame. For Black skin, unsteady off Molotov cocktails, many pours of fear. Shaken, stirred, still untamed. Nah, that shit ain't the same. But cheers. Lift your glass, pour some for everybody black, run it back. Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Yeah, especially when we just out here trying not to get shot, trying to live our peace. Ain't that many criminals to need all these fucking police. Tired of mincing words, tired of being the feast, devoured openly like beasts, but we, the animals, finna turn up. Get them sparklers, sis. Finna bust up out this cage. Finna act up at these bars. One day will be the worst day. I wish they play our jam, cause we gon' fuck it up like it's our birthday, bitch. Cheers. Lift your glass. Pour some for everybody black. Run it back. Taking a break from all your work sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? All those nights when you got no lights, the check is in the mail. What mail? US about to murder USPS too and get away to where? Ain't no safety on any street for any human being dipped in black body bag on any continent. Use any map. How confined should I feel if the whole world is my trap? Bending knees to pray to the white God you give rap. You can miss us with that. Bring back our ancient sorcery, untaboo my voodoo for me instead. You pack tax dollars, printing in God we trust. Turn around and fill poor Jacob Blake back 7 rounds on repeat of purposeful heat. And call it mistake. 33.5% more likely to die at the hand of police on U.S. land than where they learn that shit. In England and Britain, but Brits still chat shit. You can still get stripped of manhood with a dope accent. Where again? Did you say we was gonna get away? I'll wait. Meanwhile, cheers. Lift your glass. Pour some for everybody black. Run it back. Roll out of bed, Mr. Coffee's dead. The morning's looking bright, and your shrink ran off to Europe and didn't even write. And your husband wants to be a girl. Be glad there's one place in the world where everybody knows your name. The deceivers leave out lyrics, edit out their permanent hate, and we sing sorrow all the same, enslave us and perpetuate one aim to maim. Cheers. Lift your glass. Pour some for everybody black, but quickly get sober, cause they gon' run it back. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna go where people know people are all ashamed. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Woo! Woo!
Thanks, Dad.
I got
Ray Jane.
Next piece.
Oh, Ray Jane.
2020.
Ray Jane, can you hear me?
What it's named after.
I'm sorry, Ray Jane.
2020 has been a bitch. Not your average bitch either. This is unprecedented. A category 6 on 5 scale, more than 9 is off the Richter. We've been pillaged by hypocrisy and lewd versions of democracy, impoverished and plundered by murderous laws and breaks for the rich. If 2020 is a ditch, we done dove head first into its shit. Pandemics of all flavors, viral, last seconds of broadcasted survival, many bodies in the street. The world slicing America's arteries, watching her bleed. Appalled but drawn with carnivorous curiosity, we bawled out loud, openly secluded with our forevers. Forced to question the dreams our lives alluded to every time we concluded 2020 through another boot in, wondering where the food went. Emotionally spent, confused in recounting our dividends, our pie gobbled by businessmen. Amazing. Or should we say, Amazon, wild shit is. We are our own spawn, warmed by our greed. 2020 is showing us the fine line between what we think we want and what we actually need. I don't know about you, but I've been manifesting like a motherfucker. Been bringing power to my middle, weeping over the small bodies lost in little more than unnecessary border walls and lines drawn by imbeciles walking in the emperor's clothes, all puzzled and screaming, America, we can see your asshole. 2020 has been many things. Linchpin, all the henchmen hoofing through our lives like 4 horsemen. I'm horsewind shouting the cost of completing a black breath. Viruses stealing it, politicians wasting it, and us, all of us, and whatever we have left, cloaking ourselves in the stench of death. Anything to stay warm, shivering in this year of winter. Civil liberties tender to our flame. Fire spirit been gone. The cold laying upon us as if to freeze us in a time to mourn, to we the fawn. 2020 is a marksman with impeccable aim and dastardly range, but darting out of its crosshairs we proclaim, having learned many things. To say I love you and touch the same. To take a break from riding the brink of insane. To spend time with ourselves confronting our pain. We have learned to say sorry. To empathize in small boxes. To define our space with one hope for transformation to a pandemic of grace. And the very last one is a shorty, and it's a reminder to myself of who I am. And it's called Queen Goat. Queen Goat! She moved like low rumble in the back of your throat. But it's the humility that got your boat. She tote on infinity and cough up hope. She dope. Beauty to the nth degree, give you strength for free. Bad body be honey bottle like Coke. Even yolk. Scramble your fears, moment of her love, feel like years you soak, you'll croak before you see her end. For faith, family, and friends she cloak, she coax the best out of you, reveal your fantasy untrue when in view. She sweet like fruit, but you can't elope. She magnify like telescope, she cleanse you like she soap, flip your channels, chronicle you like annals, proficient in person or remote. She climb your tower and drain your moat. Climb your power like she the goat. Thank you, guys. If you're interested, I have a workshop coming up next Thursday. You can follow me on It's Ray Jane. Yeah, woo! Come learn. It's really just an excuse to have a party with y'all. So if you want to party and learn a little bit about, this love of ours called poetry, please come through. Find me on Instagram. Thank you, FUMFA. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, incredible reading. All of those pieces were so incredibly powerful, Ray Jane. We're just an honor to hear them.
Thank you for the space.
Yes, absolutely. And send over that workshop link.
Yes, I definitely will. Thank you.
Put it in the chat.
Yes. Put it in the chat. And we will see you later in the Q&A. Everybody save up your questions for Ray Jane. Thank you so much, Ray Jane. All right, Chris. What incredible readings already. And we have 3 more.
That was so interesting with the video dropping out. I didn't realize that happened when using other things. But,
yes.
It's always nice to see people, obviously, but, you really lean in, and, Ray Jane has that amazing delivery.
Ooh.
So
Incredible voice. And, I'm so sorry for interrupting, but that I totally forgot that. I kind of warned everybody that the phone can lag on the Q&A, but I totally forgot that if you are logging in with it and then you use another app, that it cuts the video. But Ray Jane's reading was no less powerful. And of course, we still got to see her. We'll see her in the Q&A as well. Incredible stuff. Now we're going to welcome Vasilios Leon. Welcome, Vasilios.
There they are. Hey, Vasilios. Oh, man.
How are you doing? Thank you for having me.
I think Vasilios wins the coolest background reading space award.
I can't take credit for it. I am in rented space right now. This is my first house. Yeah, you do a great job at curating. this little corner over here.
Curating this little corner. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. It's perfect. Well, Chris, would you mind reading Vasilios' bio for us?
Of course. Vasilios Leon is a non-binary and queer artist born and raised in Queens, New York. They studied at Queensborough Community College and graduated with an AS in theater. Vasilios is a proud member of INTAR's Unit 52 and previously starred in Julio Ain't Going Down Like That as Jay Heights. They also made their singing debut in Oso Fabuloso and the Barebacks as Gummy. Everybody, welcome, Vasilios.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for the beautiful introduction. I do not have much of a writer's bio, as I am just recently discovered that I love writing. I never really practiced it too much in my younger years, but I'm excited to share some of my work with you tonight. This first one I have here is a little bit of an allegory of what it's like to navigate sexual relations with men who don't know what they want. This one's called I Want to Fight the Devil, but I Want to Fuck Him. The devil knocks on my window, and it is music to my ears. His talons etching, clawing, arousing my fears. He's hesitant to enter, thwarted by my tears. The devil only wants me when my soul is not here. I rest my eyes and try to sleep. Anything is better than facing what I manifested. I didn't ask for him to visit. Not that he ever does when you do, but I craved it and he came. I can't sleep. I don't want to. Instead, I touch myself and think of the devil. How desired I felt when he peered through my window. I want to be your whore. Why did I freeze? Why was I not ready for him? Perhaps my body knows what's good for me, but that's not what I sought out. I sought out the devil. I had the audacity to present myself when I wasn't called upon. I was full of audacity. The devil is cunning, and I was vulnerable. He disguised himself as the man people thought he should be, and he's not expecting my third eye to see. See, the problem with divine sight is not everyone possesses it. So in a room full of mortals, you just look like some depressed psycho trying to prove your point all stressed and shit. See, what I'm trying to say is I went to go see the devil. I put on my pearls and my backwards cap. The devil prefers fishnets, but only when no one's around. The backwards cap was thrown in there to show some butch, and I really haven't had time to shave my head in a few days because I've just been thinking about the devil anyways. I went to go see the devil, but only you and I know. When I stepped to the devil, he said, to someone like you, myself, I'd not show. The devil is challenging my reality for his own personal gain. Expected. For someone like me, rejection should always be expected. I crawled home to my abode, shame lacerating my heartstrings till the sun rose. But right before the peak of dawn, before the birds could even cheer, the devil knocks on my window, and it is music to my ears. Thank you. That was the first one. I'm not French, but that was the first one. The second one is, I like this one. This one's a little hot. This one was a little vulnerable for me. It's called, If Only I Could Sip My Own Sap. I'm a thirsty fucking bitch. I'm a thirsty fucking bitch because I love too hard. I'm a thirsty fucking bitch because I don't know how to be ignored. I'm a thirsty fucking bitch because when I text you not once, not twice, not thrice, but 7 times before I accept, you're not just busy. I'm a thirsty fucking bitch because I'll let you thrust your engorged phallus into my food pipe in order to feel quenched. I'm a thirsty fucking bitch because I know what I want and I'm not afraid to express it. I'm a thirsty fucking bitch because when my flowers were nearly a bud, I learned sucking dick was one of the first things I was very good at. I'm a thirsty fucking bitch because I'm always sweating. I'm a thirsty fucking bitch because I want to be desired. But really, I'm just a thirsty fucking bitch because you don't find me attractive. What about my shape tells you I'm undesirable? What about the way my chest proudly hangs over my stomach tells you that I don't deserve to be touched? Are the shadowy cracks, peaks, and valleys of my inner thighs too hard to navigate? What about my FUMFA tells you do not cross? Is there something in the way my cheeks swallow my eyes when I smile at you that makes you feel like you're next to be eaten? I'm a thirsty fucking bitch because if I could transpose into the mirror dimension and fuck myself, I'd do it so fucking right. I'm a thirsty fucking bitch because I'd lick every millimeter of sexy, sweet, and salty shell. I'm a thirsty fucking bitch because I'll never find someone that finds me as hot as I find them, or myself for that matter. What about me wearing half a shirt and strutting down the street makes you think that I'm thirsty for attention and or don't deserve it? The same ones that want to surround yourselves with me. You want me at the function to show out, but I am not just your entertainment. I am not just for laughs. My colorful, vibrant spectrum of expression is not a free front row ticket for your amusement, because when the show is over, I'm left with no one to hold. Thank you for the fucking compliment, Hannah, but I am not brave for going out like this. I am just fucking sexy. I'm a thirsty fucking bitch because I know my worth, and I have an insatiable hunger for love, in the same way that I have waterfalls of it to give. But mostly, I'm a thirsty fucking bitch because you parasites keep sucking me dry. Thank you.
Woo! Vasilios, I'm sorry. I'm not sure if that was the last poem you were reading, but
if I have time, I have some more.
Excited. I'm so sorry. When you said
no worries.
Amazing.
What's the time like?
Oh, you're totally just fine. Since you said thank you, I was just too excited because
it's just a force of habit as an actor. Like, I'm finished. Thank you. Moving on.
Keep going.
I should work on some transitions, but moving on to my third piece. It's called I Have Fruit for Picking. I'm tired. I'm so tired. Hopefully the salty liquid pouring out of my face doesn't make the ink bleed, because I may have to read this at some point sooner or later. I tried to give structure to my writing, but it hurt. So I'm tapping in now and just trying to actualize the pain. The pain of the feeling I'm feeling is indescribable. Indescribable is this feeling of good for nothingness. Nothingness is what I felt when she said, I don't care where you sleep. Sleep. Today I wish I'd stayed asleep. If that's how disposable I am, then how come every time I try to leave, you remind me this is your garden and I'm nothing but a weed? I am like the mugwort that grows all over NYC. Not invasive, not a weed. I am abundant and psychotherapeutic. Notice me by my lacy leaves and silvery undertones. I am persistent and healing. A weed is just a plant that you didn't intend to grow. We have many uses, and you'd be more powerful if you took the time to know. But I am not a weed. I am the manifestation of what I deem reality. Therefore, I am a seed, and I am replanting myself. This garden is mine. I bring the birds and I bring the bees. I am the one with Gaia, and the Orishas watch over me. Why do I forget this? Why do I let the misery of my groundskeeper seep into my dirt? My roots have darted deep into the earth and connected to all life and being, and I've done well for myself spreading my branches out for all to see, despite the mucky soil surrounding me. I planted succulents to withstand your burns, and clove for prosperity. I planted roses in the hopes to draw on a man to tend to me. This man craved meat, so I planted beans to offer him some protein. The solstice arrived and my fruits began to bloom. Everyone had visited my garden but you. I curated a garden for you, but you wanted beef stew. The sun kissed the horizon goodbye. The seasonal cycle was now renewed. And I have to remind myself, this garden is mine. This garden is not for you. And that was the third one. And I will close out with Dance With Me in the Oasis Before We Drown. I had a chia seed stuck in my molar. I left it there. I thought the moist, dark dampness of my mouth would allow it to germinate and sprout. The thought of inhabiting life inside me sent chills up my spine, birthed in my root chakra. I could feel the ridges and veins settling into my bark. Then I remembered my spit was too acidic. The enzymes squirting juice from my glands are designed to swarm this chamber, digest, destroy, disintegrate. My body is designed to absorb all of the nutrients and dispose of the waste. I'd suck this garden dry before it even had a chance to thrive. I cried. Kind of like the time I planted a garden for us in my mind. When we first met, I held a handful of seeds of knowledge out in front of you for consumption. But you pollinated my pistil. I can't believe this is happening again. Always finding myself enraptured in this enigma. Because it's a bad religion to be in love with someone who could never love you. We created art and we performed it like a dance between our anther and stigma. But I can't, because it's a bad religion. That's what screamed and resonated inside my head. Stop falling for these straight men. But I was confused. You called me your brother, but held me like a lover. I've been meaning to fuck you in the garden, but I couldn't because they all said I shouldn't. But everything on your face told me that you would have. A torrent raged through my mind, floods of possibility, monsoons of doubt, but also an oasis. I tried to take a sip from it, but I slipped in and drowned. Oop. I took the garden in with me into the pool of chaos, drowned and fried in the storm of water and spastic neurological impulses. I mourned the garden. Each time I saw you was a visit to the grave. Each time I left you, the seed in my lobes would try to sprout, but my amygdala would open up the floodgates. It had become second nature at this point, until the most recent time. There was no grave. Instead, you came with a garden. It was beautiful, familiar. You were so excited to share with me who you've been pollinating with and keeping the bees. I wasn't too sure what to expect of her, but I said, let's see. See, you showed me and you were beaming like a geyser of light. Bright, beautiful, my baby. But I had to conceal my truth and flip perspective because I didn't want my heartbreak to peak. Because he kind of looks a little bit like me. I glued lavender and glitter into my beard to calm the storm inside and strut through the city with pride. I am mourning again, saying goodbye for what couldn't be, because I want to be proud of my baby's sprouting leaves. But god damn, I wish it was me fucking you under the cherry tree. The sun set on Vasilios today. I am eclipsed. Thank you.
I got it. Vasilios, amazing stuff. So powerful, so painful, but so gorgeous at the same time. We all felt it. You have to go and read the comments that everyone was sharing later. I'm so sorry I interrupted you. I was so excited to woohoo for you.
I was very excited there.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for holding the space. This was beautiful. It's a beautiful event.
God, I mean, I can't wait to have all of you back. But it was so incredibly, so powerful to hear these, these love and heartbreak poems, and also just I felt so empowered when you were talking about your body and being sexy, and I just felt it. And we'll talk more in the Q&A. But thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Vasilios must be you must be great on stage too. Acting.
I'm all right. I mean, I try not to toot my own horn.
Such a powerful reading voice and cadence. I mean, all of our readers say, but so fabulous to hear you. And your eyeshadow is the best.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
It was really like a two-step last minute thing. I wasn't going to do anything, but I saw your beautiful makeup today, the blue and red lip combo, and I was just like, no, I got to do something.
We'll need to trade notes, Vasilios, because I want to do my eyeshadow like you.
Awesome.
You're inspiring our readers. That's amazing.
Thank you so much to both of you.
Thank you. All right, we'll see you in the Q&A, Vasilios. What an incredible night so far, Chris. We still have 2 more readers. We are running a little bit behind, but does anybody mind? No, we're having an incredible time.
We're good. We're all good.
Yeah. All right. We'll just go a little bit later than usual. No problem with that. We want to hear everybody and everything that they have to share. Welcome, Elemen2al.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. Truly.
Our pleasure.
We are so excited to hear you. It's been an absolutely amazing night, and we just can't wait for it to continue. I'm going to go ahead and read your bio. All right. Driven by a passion that fuels the starship of his thoughts, Elemen2al roams the universe, healing in his poetry. He has the courage to confront his depression, anxiety, and PTSD with words. He is a harbinger of agony, writing wrongs into poems, one heartbeat at a time. His pain is very real, at times self-inflicted, fueled by his desire to enlighten all who hear his voice. He speaks with an accent of change. He is poetry, and unapologetically deadly revolutionary. A true student, fan and consumer of all things creativity, he is the sum of his fears, the X-quotient of an unbalanced equation, and seeker of truth. He is a voice for the voiceless, carrying the torch of love for true artistry and broadcasting information people can use. Standing on the shoulders of giants, he is Elemen2al. You can learn more at Elemen2al.com, and you can send him some support on Cash App as well. Find him there at Elemen2al, name spelled as below. What a beautiful bio already, Elemen2al. It's a pleasure to read
That's
it.
Poem number 1.
I know.
We go to poem number 2.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Truly. I'm going to share a few pieces with you this evening. One of them from my recent book, Calamity. Check it out, Elemen2al.com. First piece is just a haiku. First of all, I appreciate everyone. Such a phenomenal crew. Oh my gosh, I'm so humbled to be here. Let's go. In these days and times, living in my poetry, I finally see colors. This poem is from my book Calamity. It's called Original Inspiration. She crept into my bedroom well before I understood the complexities of her voice. Her touch made my heart leap from the highest point of my fear. She enticed my spirit, hypnotized my senses. I was lost between the sheets of a place I knew as home and the world unfolding behind my innocent eyes. This sensation was new, but all too familiar. With undeveloped taste buds, I savored the flavor of hundreds of years of spine-tingling seduction. I was helpless in an adult world, pretending I knew the groove, wearing it like a Halloween costume. The innocence of my ignorance was exhilarating, causing me to move in ways I never thought possible. Heard the exuberance spill into my eardrums, engaged the turbine laying dormant in the left hemisphere, sending me back to my future. Standing on the bridge of hope above the flowing rhythm, she said I was slipping into darkness in this orbit. When the horns blow, you better be ready to go, because we can't be late for the mothership connection. Star child, born of a sun and moon with strings for vocal cords played like the earth, keeping the elements in tune. The fire burned its way into my conscious and branded its name on my forever. The winds of change blew the ashes to reveal destiny in the charred remains of yesterdays. Standing on turntable mountaintops above the jungle with my hand cocked like Herbie, firing rockets into the box they constructed for this culture of street saviors. It was like bam, bada, Jazzy J red alert from the sky came Cool Herc, calling all children to lay their burdens down on buildings and trains, microphones and instrumentals, battleground dance floors, and killer crossovers with a 1200 disposition. This was the ignition. No countdowns, just blast off, climbing into the unknown, fearless as astronauts going beyond the boundaries of 4/4 time and treble clef cages, grand wizard and grand mixers casting spells on willing bystanders. My powers were awakened. I was never the same, addicted at first kiss. She is more life than oxygen. On the scariest days, she is my sword and shield, just the right volume to release the pressure or rev my engine. Beginning and end of time machine tales of better songs in the key of life. She found me in the darkest space and has been bringing life to my life well before this life had form. I am humbled, blessed, grateful for the gift of hip hop. This next piece, another music inspired piece, by one of the greats. This is called Black and Proud. The first time I heard the hardest working man in show business, drenched in passion, grab his mic, sent out a call from window to wall, pandemonium ensued, crowd primed for eruption. The fuse was lit and racing toward ignition. Band already playing the funkiest funk could funk, building anticipation with every measure. Beauty, radiated braids, fades, froze, and drolls of folks all the way down with this sound. Couldn't believe this vibration, barreling down on children of sorrow, tied to tracks, engine number 9, sign of times to align community and unity behind these enemy lines. Knew not what was happening, but I was all in, couldn't swim, deep in, dove in, cymbals filled my lungs, heart keeping turbulent tempo, rhythm section riot, blowing all the troubles of the world and valves and scales, third wheel shock waves, say it loud. Amplified vibe, reached back a venue and came back as tidal wave of I'm black and I'm proud. What just happened? Did they just say that? Am I really hearing this committee of confidence and chorus scream declaration of black? Maybe I heard it wrong. still learning how letters take words to next plane of realism, baffled by their brilliance, ready to fight every aspect of this sick system. Say it loud, say it loud, say it loud. I just knew in my soul there was no way they would respond again. Not in this America, not in this America, not in this America, where white is right, pure as silk or milk or falling snow. Not in this America, where baseball flawless diamonds catch spring sun just right all the way to October. You mean this America? One drop rule, grandfather clause America? Voter suppression pinned by word wizards to make us believe we are only pawns in games of kings, not fit to utter names of saints unless spoken in tongues of holiday haze, Black Fridays. But this joy on faces from every section, location, borough, as thorough as drum riffs trace fate on dance floors and balcony corners, hopscotch, body rock, out of sight, can't stop, won't stop, can't stop, won't stop, take it to the bridge, over these troubled waters, guitar strings, suspension, requisition for substance beyond bubblegum, pop radio, whitewashed airwaves, say it loud. Volume extreme, backdoor entry, colored water fountains be damned. Water holes, attack dog, segregation don't matter. Not no mo, not no mo, not no mo, no sir, no way, say it loud. This man with this band brought life with bare hands on pulse of his people, kicked in doors, no more peepholes, where his people, my people, black people could finally be seen through clear eyes, Visine treatment past prehistoric pretense that power comes from plunder. Not these folks, not today. No way, no sir, not today. I'm black and I'm proud. Screaming bloody thunder in a lion's den of hungry colonizers, chomping at the bit to keep box fit tightly on consciousness, regardless of distance from plantation or relation to slavery. No longer loving on our knees. Today we die on our feet. Reclaim what was ours from the start. Finally, we can say it loud. Be proud, be black, be loud, be beautiful. Be proud, be beautiful, be loud, be black, be beautiful. Be black. I'm proud. All right, last piece is in honor of the games. So this is called Olympic Freedom Rings. London, 1948. 14th Olympiad, first time Black girl Magic won Olympic gold, stole the show in track and field with blazing speed. The scene has never been the same. Alice Coachman, kick door open, high jumped over fallacy, medal presented by His Majesty. King George VI cleared 5'6" to bring home the only American medal by a female athlete. First of many to hear the call of freedom rings in 400-meter loops that let loose on the world with a crew full of girls that set world records wearing feathers and hair, rode jet streams with 5-ounce wings and flew past everybody. Evelyn Ashford ran faster than any other woman, broke 11-second barrier, became aircraft carrier of fighters blasting 8.8-pound grenades in 34-degree angles toward every stereotype that Black women can't jump higher, run faster, outlast that closed-minded hierarchy calling all the shots. Caught that Gail Divas fever, followed the leader to front of pack, Carmelita Jeter, relay diva chasing herstory, Jackie Joyner cursory, heptathlon Leviathan Titan, Delilah Muhammad took 10 hurdles with purple nails, ran circles around same rings connecting athletes to infamy. Latasha Jenkins or Allison Felix, next gen double helix, even after pregnancy, showed track supremacy in every event involving speed. I mean, real speed, that FloJo Jackrabbit stepping stone from 88 LA Terradome to the soul of soul activated charcoal in the gold and gold and gold. Just like Rome, 1960, Wilma Rudolph tore the roof off the Coliseum, swooped past every European to be in first place in every race, cheered for her bravery only to come home to segregated space. Are you serious? I'm just curious. How serious do you take your discus? She throws UFOs with a statuesque pose well past the borders. Don't worry about those, though. At least you know those borders don't apply. You can say goodbye to the notion that these women can't be amazing. Even with 1.7 pounds of pure spear, exhibit no fear in the eyes of hypersexualized visions of ebony speedsters, leaving misconceptions in their dust meter after meter after meter. Nancy Perry, scary. Braids flowing, melanin glowing, tiptoeing around, masculine peacocking, stopping the world from seeing the beauty in beings that don't fit the European standard of God damn. I mean, swift, ring around the rosy red lenses of attendants that thought they had a chance to move faster than fire with the kiss of the wind and a sea of kindling. Are you kidding? You didn't know? Move like they got lightning in their toes. They are magic. flow like water, they fluid. Why not use it? You knew it was about to be more of the same, so you defame her name because of Mary Jane, so we're going to play that game, right? Can't beat Shikari on the track, so you clap back by taking her chance to dance with destiny, despite running and running and running and training and running and training and living and surviving. Refused her Freedom Olympic rings. Believe me, the sound of her Olympic medal christening is coming. With every bit of black girl flair you find offensive, get your cameras ready. It will indeed be legendary. Peace. Appreciate y'all, truly.
Oh my God, Elemental, amazing. Oh my God, I can't even like express like half of how much the chat is going wild on Facebook and YouTube. Powerful, incredible. Oh my God, just exciting. My heart is racing. Just such powerful stuff. Chris.
The momentum. You know, Simone Biles, that was like what you were doing with words. Whatever, I don't even know what those moves are that Simone Biles.
It was that.
the double, triple, whatever the hell. That was you just now.
Oh my God, just like a virtuosic, incredible composition, and such powerful meaning and rhythm and rhyme, and just, you just blew us all away, Elemental. I mean, oh my God. And did you just write this poem recently? The
Olympic rings poem? Yes, that was very recent.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. I
appreciate you for having me, truly, and allowing me to be a part of such an amazing group of poets. I'm telling you, Storm Gods in the building, Storm Force movement is happening. I just truly appreciate all of you, truly. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, well, and we will see you in the Q&A, Elemental. Save your questions for Elemental. And up next, we have Paul. Let's bring Paul. I want to make sure I pronounce your last name. It's LaTorre, right?
It's whatever. You could do it LaTorre, either one.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No offense.
I'm so sorry, Paul. Welcome and thank you for bringing your dream team tonight.
Yeah, y'all told me to curate and bring features, and I was like, all right, I got hitters.
Oh
so
my God.
Thank you for giving up the space. Thank you for holding the space for us, first and foremost.
Oh my God. Thank you for introducing us to all of these incredible poets, as someone we know also through some other things, but for bringing them here tonight. Thank you so much for, sharing, grabbing Nathaniel Elemental and Ray Jane and Vasilios. And we can't wait to hear from you now. It's going to be such a treat. Just thank you so much. You're blowing our minds. Everyone's blowing our minds tonight.
Y'all have built the suspense up. I have to follow all 4 of those amazing folks.
I mean, I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to. But of course, but we can't wait to hear from you either, Paul. Your stuff is amazing, and excited for what you're going to share tonight as well. Chris, would you do the honors of reading Paul's bio for us?
Of course, Paul LaTorre, aka Paul Conqueso, who curated this amazing group of poets tonight, is a poet, professor, publisher, performer, and activist from Newark, New Jersey. He teaches creative writing at his alma mater of Bloomfield College, where he is lead editor of BC Underground, an annual student-run literary magazine. He has also lead edited Quarantine and I Can't Breathe, a social justice-oriented literary magazine. His poetry blends pop culture with advocacy for various causes, from social justice to mental health, body image and eating disorders, sexual assault, and other issues in need of advocacy. His first book of poems, Disappearing Boy, was published in March of 2020 by 3 Mile Harbor Press.
Woo!
He is an active member of the Nuyorican Poets Cafe, first poetic home in New York City, of course. You can follow him on IG and Linktree at Paul Conqueso. Everybody, welcome.
Paul. Welcome, Paul.
I appreciate you, Chris. I appreciate all of y'all for holding this space today. Before I begin, Storm Gods in the building. Storm Force in the building, Men Who Heal, and all of those good things. All of my family, all the people I consider to be my kinfolk. I'm gonna lead off with a social justice piece that I've never read anywhere online before, but I've been kind of inspired. The energy around the room has caused me to switch up my set a little bit. This is called "Whip It Out" for Harambe. They say Harambe was just a gorilla, that when that boy fell in his enclosure, this animal's intent was to kill him. That all black Western lowland primates are meant to cause violence, incite riots, and climb the containment like King Kong Kim K carrying Kanye on her back to a sunken place. And one day, after this captive's 17th birthday, the rifle shot that saved a boy's life took another's, his value gauged by weighted clarity of his silver back, and like a badge, they executed the order. But if Harambe didn't seem so threatening, would they have obeyed? I mean, if it was me strutting down the street to buy a pack of Swisher Sweets and Arizona iced tea, and I got stopped and frisked by zoo management, would they let this lighter-toned gorilla go with no choked nightstick, no shots fired into fair coat with hands held in air? But when your name is Anglo-Saxon and not Swahili for freedom, is there more liberty given than when all you've ever been is survivalist? And who's to say this alpha primate wasn't just protecting a pup as scared as he was? And picture being in his stead. Some foreign crawling being comes bursting into your living room, and in unknown tongues folks start whooping and hollering, blaming and aiming high caliber artillery. Disney, what's the difference between Tarzan and Kerchak besides presentation of DNA as evidence? Did you know Caucasians share more genealogy with Neanderthals than any other race? The Great Chain does not explain why they kept Ota Benga pent up, a caged man from Africa left on display in the Bronx Zoo after his captors murdered his wife and child. I assure you, the colonizers' tribe is far more savage, sadistic, vicious. Matter of fact, stack their skeleton beside any others with their hands entwined with trigger and see if they don't seem like any other authority clutching on to what doesn't belong to them. Let us not conflate meme with meaning. We mourned Harambe for going on 1,800 days, but can't be bothered to recall the names of countless black and brown innocent boys and girls we lost to the concrete zoo just this year. In some warmer, alternative universe, Elijah McClain and Mike Brown and Trayvon and Tamir and Adam Toledo and Makia Bryant are all still alive. Yet in this corrupted timeline, we must settle for protest, hashtags, and laws named after them. Instead, let's say we let actions and not assumed stature characterize us in the rifle's sight. Let society function as five knuckles instead of disparate joints, middle clinging to ring and pinky tucked in opposable thumbs to clump us all as one genus, species, family. So in unison, clasp your hand and another's and stand before the mass of bullets which would otherwise lined in backs, and in one coalescent motion now. Whip it out. Yeah. Raise your fist in the air. All right. I'm going to go a little bit more personal for the next few pieces to lead me home. But some connective tissues. Colonizers tribe, right? It's complex shit. Heritage, mixing of cultures, ancestries, and DNAs. This piece is called Lengua, and it was written just this past week in Peggy Robles Alvarado's workshop. Lengua. My ancestors stole tongues and were the ones who had tongues taken. Ships rode in on and ferried away in the belly of those same ancestry, aching and pleading release. Made the hymnals of survival sung in the hull, songs worth singing, bringing with spices, sazon, salsa, adobo criollo. See, the getting over never begins, but there is always the get down. The spread round me in circle and watch my feet cut rugs and carve dirt circles, huddle around stovetop as if raging bonfire with cast iron pot and skillet, bonchinche bubbles as we break into solemn song. Cause I got loyalty, got royalty inside my DNA. Even if y'all don't see, behind my goatee of near conquistador can't help but resemble the fathers that made you, even if they raped your great grandmamas into your simple act of being. All right, so my bio did list a few different forms of advocacy, and one of the ones that means a lot to me is survivorship. and telling our stories, even when it's difficult, even when we don't want to have records of our own histories. I think it's important to shed light on what happens in the dark. And so this is called Toca. I know you by your touch, by midnight grip, how the fingertips slip under cover of down comforter. I know you by your touch, by mid-thigh grip, how you beg nerve endings to sever my tongue of sharpened truth. I know you by your grasp of inner thigh, even when denied, blacken my eyes with phosphenes and make the stars ignite behind their lids eclipse of consciousness. I inherited distrust from you, inherited you're lustful too. They say those who have been touched tend to sexualize themselves too much, and I can't help this inheritance thick in the blood, plasma, and platelet made me plate to lick clean with hungry trips to kitchen and gleam of moon past 3 a.m. I know you by the imprints your nails left inside my flesh, and no amount of therapy or counseling or, God forbid, even blood transfusions could ever rinse out the fact you are flesh of my flesh and blood of my blood. Yet we're still the one to make my blood run. All right, so, yeah, there's always a piece that you're like reluctant to read, and that was mine this evening. This is my last piece that I'm gonna read. It's a tiny bit long, and it surged through me all in like an afternoon, which for somebody who's an overthinker, is a rarity, but it's also like a divine rarity. And this came to me on Frida Kahlo's birthday, just about 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to end on this piece. Yeah, it's called Viva la Frida. I consider Frida Kahlo's The Broken Column as I lie in hospital bed, entirely motionless, back bandaged and bound, more opiates running through me than an entire rolling hill of poppy fields, typical curve in my spine as I lay supine, straightens rigid, much less question mark, and far more exclamation of exaltation for my survival point. I consider Frida making art of her body cast, how she surpassed the accident, surpassed the notion of broken, growing stronger from it, me massaging my upper ass with only my remaining mobile joints, thanking my ancestors for the evolutionary marvels of opposable thumbs, hoping to someday make my own monument of this moment. I consider Diego Rivera's dream of a Sunday afternoon in Alameda Park, and how he never saw Frida's female lovers as rivals, as worthy of usurping his spot in her bed or heart. I consider how my ex-wife only ever cheated on me when she kissed a woman friend on the lips, how I dismissed this as not true infidelity, keeping machismo perhaps too close to vest, a caged wren flapping so hard it breaks its own neck. But I digress, I regress, I confess. I could have been more cognizant. This may be one of the few times where man is not the biggest threat. I consider the two Fridas as I discover my divine feminine, how it fits beside my masculine, how they sit side by side, intertwining hands, holding punctured veins, open heart, holding scissors which play their part in this ritual. I consider Self-Portrait of a Tijuana as I adorn the wreath of flowers dawned upon my head, acknowledging how God has her hands full with me. Before I can even recall the significance of this day, I penned this in 7/6. I consider how Miss Kahlo would have been 111 if she were still alive today. That is to say, she is. As I consider myself a mirror hung above the bed she rested in those final several years, I consider a few small nips. As I accrue the minute trysts, we all gather in palms like pomegranate, like tiny ruptures, like death by 10,000 paper cuts. I consider Self-Portrait with thorn necklace and hummingbird, how this was her rebirth after divorce, the hum and flap of wings like eyelids fluttering, monkey on back, panther flanking her back left shoulder, 3 descendants black as her unibrow and onyx hair, my want to be deep and dark as well-made mole that takes all day, dark as a starless night at Casa Azul, how this too parallels my own lotus flower, Ouroboros scarab, phoenixed tree of life. I consider the wounded deer and Frida in the miscarriage, considering the child I lost last August pondering my own missed chances, misfires, miscommunications, mistakes, and near strikes at a whole other life, perhaps where we are a family of cats, lapping bowls of half and half. I consider Moses and the sun and sun god Totek high atop Tenochtitlan. Consider what blood or placenta sacrifice it may take for me to accept any of my work is worthy enough of being held in the same realm as you, considering tree of hope and time's pull like time is up on fate's fixed watch, cause all I got is these broken clocks. I ain't got no time, just burning daylight. Still love, still love, still love, still love, still love, still love. Nothing but love for you, nothing but love for you, nothing but love. Because even a stillborn love, if born from love, is still love. I consider the dream, the bed, and perhaps what will be my final resting plot. I turn over the notion of belief in my head and how even these words may not exist if not for the accident, the one that painted her pain, her gift, the same that took mine away and took away the child that might have been mine, Frida and child. I consider you both, how I carry you in my body like a seed, a bullet, an incision made fully, and as I see the slit made by this bullet's seed which brought about embryonic accident, how gripping on to these persisting memories can undo you and bloom you in the very same shortened breath.
Whoa, Paul! Powerful, 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 incredible, gorgeous stuff. And the way that you read it and shared it with us, I mean, just incredibly powerful. And thank you for being vulnerable in these poems as well. So several of the other, I mean, all of the other readers as well. It's just incredible work and so deeply felt, so visceral and so gorgeous. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I mean, that poem just, I got the sense of what you talked about writing in one big chunk in some afternoon. It was like you were possessed or something, you know, it's almost like.
That's how it felt, yeah.
And that's definitely. And when you read it, it's kind of like,
ooh,
you've refined that when, you know, you find it again when you read it.
Yeah.
Possessed.
Yeah. Thank you both.
So good.
I'm honored to share the space. I'm honored to share the space with all these amazing poets, with you two amazing hosts, with this community. Appreciate you all for this opportunity so much.
Absolutely. Well, we are normally we finish up at 9:30, but Chris, I'm going to say let's push that to 9:45 so that we can talk to all of these incredible poets, and let's bring them back up here. All right. Okay, so all of you are going to have to, absolutely, you have to go on to Facebook, go on to YouTube and see all of the comments, all of the love that people have been sharing all evening. You are all incredibly amazing. Chris, I feel like they just need one more round of applause. Amazing. Thank you so much. Woo! So everybody out there, please type in your questions. Chris and I will grab them and put them up for all of our amazing poets this evening. And while you are sending in your questions, let's just get started with an initial question here. Chris and I usually ask at first, how have you been doing during this kind of quarantine time as a poet? Has it been a fruitful time of writing for you? Have online venues been good for you? But I would maybe want to extend a little bit more. Maybe before the pandemic, I would love to know a little bit about each of your kind of performances and readings and writing life, and how did it change? Like, what was the process of how it changed during this time? And maybe we can just start all the way back with Nathaniel and kind of go around. You can share if you don't mind.
Yeah, I can definitely share. I think that as far as the current state of things and kind of how everything has evolved over the last year. It's been an interesting time of focus and exploration and of just a general I don't know how to put it into words really, but it's been truly challenging and also special in the sense that I was able to find these wonderful individuals as well as also all of the other communities that we've ultimately like become a part of as a result of this. And it also has allowed life to, in certain instances, slow down to the point where, you know, you can really reflect on things. And so I really, even though there's been a lot of loss and a lot of tragedy, I think that there's a lot of things that we can take from this and learn from it and grow. So
absolutely. Thank you so much, Nathaniel. I totally relate. I feel like I might not have met any of you, and so many of you I met through Philip J. Curtis and Chance out there, and I met them through doing this because we featured Lona Jack Filmar and so many other incredible connections. I totally get it. What about you, Ray Jane? How has it been? What was it like before the pandemic? How has it changed now for you?
I think before the pandemic, I don't think I was as brave as I am now. I think that it pushed me to take that leap as far as being vulnerable and having the opportunity to do that with people who are having to do the same thing. You know, everybody's got to get over the same hurdle. I can't say it's not any bigger for anybody else than it is for me, because that may very well be untrue. But it's still there. And I think the fact that it's there makes it a lot easier to then, you know, show up as myself. And I think that is the biggest hurdle, or has been, as far as my creativity is concerned, to just expanding, right? It's just feeling safe. So I think having all these safe spaces and people pushing you for free, not for nothing. All this stuff has been for free. Like, we've been so blessed to have all these workshops and people really sharpening us in a way that I seldom feel worthy of, but at the same time also teaching us something about worthiness. So I'm very grateful to be in all these little boxes and big spaces with everyone for that reason and many more.
Absolutely, Rachel. We've had like so many, almost like more opportunities online. And like you said, so many of them have been for free, but it's also kind of forced us to be braver. Like, let's step into the space that we have in these communities that we've been invited to. 100% awesome.
Yeah. That's so interesting, because you think, well, maybe we're able to be a little more brave because like we're home, right? And it's not like a room full of people. And then now it's getting back to live reading. And then can we take that with us? It's going to be an interesting, well, I mean, some of you guys were at the, live reading today. So I'd be interested to hear how that was different from this kind of thing, because we've gotten so used to this now.
Yeah.
Anyway. So,
absolutely.
Ray Jane, you were there today, right? I mean, you were out.
Yes. It was amazing. Shout out to everybody who shared at the New York City Poetry Festival, Island, all the different groups. Everybody was just phenomenal. Right. But yes, it's very different in the sense that I think the feedback is right away. Right. Here on these Zooms, everybody's muted out of respect. But as you're presenting, you have to navigate live, responses.
Right.
And still keep your energy and still be able to present the piece in a way. That's my daddy, y'all.
Hey, Dad.
There he is.
I love it.
I knew knew he was gonna sneak in here.
So sweet.
But exactly, that's an exhibit A. This is the type of thing that happens in live performance, and you have to, still, invite people to share their energy, while navigating it live, which is tough to do, but it's so invigorating.
Absolutely.
I bet it felt great.
Yeah. Vasilios, Elemen2al, Paul, how has we do have some questions coming in, so we really want to get to them, definitely, but I also want to hear from you guys about your experience, like in terms of the contrast of pre, during, post pandemic. How has it been for you? But Vasilios.
I mean, it was funny to me because I didn't really discover the whole online poetry community until a few months ago. So I was like, oh my God, you've all been doing this like on your computers and your phones for like the past year and a half? Where the fuck was I? Because the pandemic was really dark, like not dark, it was dark in a sense of like woo and melancholy, but it was dark in a sense of I went dark. I wasn't really producing anything. I wasn't really writing, or it was a very internalized time period, but I discovered a lot about myself and about where I want to stand in the world and how to access the present moment better. Because there was a point during the pandemic when like I was really stripped down to nothing. It was like, if it wasn't like for having my family home and the clothes I've already had for years, I was like, I really wouldn't have anything else. It was just, so I don't like to be in that state of mind. I don't like to stay dark. So I always try to find light or something to look forward to in those time periods. And in that time period, it was a little selfish. It was a little bit of self-discovery and just goal setting.
I totally hear you, Vasilios. Everything that you're saying is very, very relatable, and I'm glad that you found the online poetry communities, and I'm glad that was part of what lightened things up and made things better. That's awesome. What about you, Elemen2al?
For me, really, the pandemic just changed everything. I was on a whole different path before things started jumping off, and for me, it was sort of a transition that just made sense for me to invest in what I feel compelled to do, which is be creative in every form. And the way that the pandemic just kind of separated people but brought people back together was just completely fascinating to me. I have been searching for a poetry community, and I'm completely blessed that these folks showed up, because I was at a point that I wasn't really being challenged anymore in my poetry, right? And then in the moment that I stepped into the Nuyo, all these people reminded me that there's a whole nother level of poetry out there.
There is.
And it just, that for me, it just energized me. And from that moment on, I said, I need to get to 100%. What does my 100% look like? And with all these people's help, I'm getting closer and closer and closer.
Yes, that is so awesome, Elemen2al. And just hearing your story of just getting just really reinvigorated and inspired by all of these folks and by the Nuyo, is just exciting to hear, and makes me want to go to every single reading that there is. And I totally hear you. What about you, Paul?
I'll try and keep it short. So the week that my book came out was the week that the lockdown protocols went into place. So literally, the week I got a shipment of my books, and like I was like, yeah, my baby's here. I was gonna do a launch at Poet's House. I had everything planned out. I was gonna do a bunch of in-person shit at my college, and then I was like, nope, the world no longer exists as you know it. So I was like, fuck, what do I do? And then the Nuyo started their online open mics, and I participated in the very first one, and a lot since, missed a few, but I feel like it's been divine planning for me to meet all these people, to meet all the y'all that are in the room tonight. Everybody that's in the comments, Chris, Katie, and this fucking dream team of poets and people that inspire me every single goddamn day. Like, honestly, I thought it was going to be a curse, but it was such a gift. And this is what was meant to happen, because it solidified my connections and foundations with so many. I wouldn't have met all of these amazing people if the world continued on as normal. So, you know, yes, there's the flip side of that tragedy is we did lose people. We did lose social life in a sense for a while, but I think we gained a lot more connectivity in distance. Distance has been broken now, you know, and now there's nothing that's going to stop us, that we've all linked up, because now, you know, we do shit in person, and we're going to pull in Nathaniel from Wisconsin, and we're going to pull in Oakland, and we're just going to form fucking super teams left and right. But anyway, yeah.
I love it. Well, I love what you shared just there. And you know, what a paradoxical experience that you're like, oh, my book, all my plans are destroyed, but you ended up with this community that was so much bigger than it ever could have been. I totally hear you. You know, and that's been our experience with the stream too. We've, you know, kind of discovered, Chris and I were going to do like one in-person reading. And instead we started this stream, and we've met all of you and connected and reconnected with so many people. I totally hear you.
Now we're up to like, I don't know,
60.
Like, you know, like 180 or something.
Oh, individual readers that we artists, writers that we've had on here. It's incredible. Absolutely. We have a question from Scott Pleasance, who I saw at the New York City Poetry Festival yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry, Chris. We clicked the button at the same time. Sorry. Chris.
I'm messing with you.
I know.
It's so easy. Okay, yeah. Scott says, how do you keep your creativity evolving and relatable? That's a big question. So I don't know how succinct anybody could be with that question, but we can try. Nathaniel, just go around.
I'm gonna take my best stab at this, and then I'm gonna leave it up to the rest of the artists to actually answer this correctly. I would say that creativity, just as a general concept, is always just naturally evolving. And then how you remain relatable is just being informed, you know, making sure that you're following what's actually going on in the world. Like if you're staying ignorant, you know, to everything, and you're not learning and growing, like you're not really doing art anyways. Like you're not really being creative. So like, I mean, the two literally exist in tandem. It's a relationship between the two of them. So I think that, you know, ultimately it's a goal of every artist to continuously be evolving and staying interested in your own work and what you're doing. And you do that by staying informed and staying relatable to like what's going on in your life and what's going on in everyone else's life. So,
right.
Yeah.
100%, Nathaniel. I mean, we're in total agreement. If you can see all of us like agreeing up here. Absolutely. What about you, Ray Jane?
Ah, man, you ain't struggled with that at all.
I know, right? He just said it.
So, like, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try, and then he hit it out of the park.
Let me try and just give the best answer ever. What Nathaniel said.
Ditto.
No, for real. It's a great question. Thank you, Scott. I think for me, the way that I keep my creativity going or alive is staying in conversation with other creative people. I think just off the strength of sometimes silly conversations, you know, powerful pieces have come out of that, collaborations have come out of that, you know, and then also just being humble in the sense that I could always be better, right? So if there's a workshop that comes along when you've got that mindset, of course you're going to sign up. because you know that you can expand more. You know that there might be a message that you got inside that you can't get out because you don't have the tools yet. So I would encourage anybody, everyone, just to keep that in mind. There's always something else to learn, and you could be better than you are. So learn something new and use it. You know.
Yes, Ray Jane. In total agreement once again. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. These are powerful pearls of wisdom that are coming out, Chris.
I think this qualifies.
Yes. All right, Vasilios, what about you? Uh-oh. Is he frozen for the moment? Well, all right, we'll come back to Vasilios. Elemental?
Scott, great question, man. I appreciate you plugging in and asking. For me, I pay attention to artists who have done it successfully, who have maintained relevant throughout their evolution. That is a difficult thing, right? Because as time change, people change, social references change, social movements change. And with that, you have to make sure that you're plugged into it. For me, how do I make sure I plug into it? I stay around poets, because poets are always going to be plugged into what's going on, right? And they are always going to make sure they're telling you what's going on, because that is our charge as poets, right? So how do I stay relatable? I make sure, kind of like Ray Jane was saying, I make sure I have conversations with creative beings to make sure that we're still breathing the air that we need to breathe to enlighten the people that are coming to us for that enlightenment.
Woo!
I mean, it's really just taking responsibility for the creativity that we've been blessed with, right? And how do we stay relatable? We stay listening, right? I always say, keep your ear to the street. That's the only way that you're going to know what's happening in the streets, is you got to keep your ear to that shit. And how are you going to keep your ear to it if you're not in them?
Mm-hmm.
One way or another.
Mm-hmm.
You got to stay plugged in and keep the energy flowing all the way through. So it's really just staying plugged in with the people and the poets, because that's where you get all the truth.
Yes, Elemental. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. And Vasilios, you were frozen for a moment, but you're back. What do you have to say here for this question?
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I got locked out for a second, but I refreshed and I'm back. And listening, Elemental. Yes, listening is like a very big part of it. I'm gonna try to add to what everybody said so far, because it's been fabulous.
Audio.
But
Frozen.
For me,
Vasilios, we're so sorry. Your audio is cutting a bit.
About staying present. Like a lot of my work comes from a few training that I had when I was acting. Oh, am I frozen again? Can you?
We can hear you though.
Oh, it's okay.
Keep going.
Turn off the camera. Yeah, cool. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I turned off the camera. And I did a lot of training with body and presence on the stage when I was in college, and most of my work comes from going within and then going without, like outside from within.
Yeah.
So just checking in with myself daily and making sure that what mindset that I'm in, and then reflecting that towards what's around me, and just finding inspiration in everything I see, and always keeping my eyes open, always observing and always listening.
Yes, absolutely, Vasilios. Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you.
And Paul.
I'm just gonna co-sign everybody else. No, really quickly. No, everybody articulated that really fucking perfectly. I don't know how I can really expand on it, but creativity, I guess I'm chasing the Mario Kart ghost of myself. For a good portion of it, it's like, how am I going to be better than myself? How am I going to outdo my last lap? Like, to a certain point, I was like, if I'm becoming monotonous or repetitive, then I'll do something. I'll carve a new lane. You know, I started singing in a lot of my poems, so that's become a new challenge for me to like become better at that. But it's also like being surrounded by this community of folks who are so fucking inspiring and push me and make me angry. Like all these poets on here make me angry because when they write something, I'm like, you fuck you, like you're so good. It makes me angry, you know. But like that's inspiration. Is like, I wish I wrote that line. I wish I wrote that poem. And so that's the part of it that's inspiration. And the creativity is just like, you know, attending workshops, attending Peggy's workshops, attending New York workshops, attending events, doing Bronx Art and Fun Hub workshops, you know, just like being part of the community, being in group chats, you know, collaborating, communicating, you know, talking to Ray Jane in instant messages, and then all of a sudden it turns into like, she got a poem out of it, then I got a poem out of it. Me and Elemen2al got collabs going, you know, like left and right, talking to Vasilios. I say something to Vasilios, they weave Hannah into their poem, then they fucking bring Frank Ocean into their poem. They're like, oh, I'm gonna bring Frank Ocean into my poem, you know, and the same thing. And we kick around so much creativity with each other, just being family and community, that it's fucking silly. It's silly when you put creative people together, what comes out. And that's been the godsend for me is this community. Yeah.
Ah, yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I hope it keeps going and stays strong. Always. There is one more question here, and I think we should go for it before our last question. It is from Trisha de Jesus Gutierrez for Nathaniel and Queso. It says, do you feel the vulnerability you lay bare in almost all your pieces as a catalyst for change, especially in perceptions of young people, young men in particular? Ooh, great question.
Yeah, a lot of vulnerability tonight.
Yes.
Nathaniel.
Oh, you wanted me to? Okay. I wasn't sure if Cheese was going to answer or.
So you can jump in
first. I mean, I think vulnerability is important because showing the reality and the truth of the matter when speaking about these issues is really imperative, because like if you don't have the honesty that comes with these situations, like you're never going to be able to overcome them truly, because if I don't talk about like my relationship like with other men and like the way that like I was told to come up as a man, then like if I don't speak from the most honest point of that, then how is anyone else going to be able to relate and learn and grow from that and change the narrative, which is ultimately the true goal, is changing that narrative and changing that expectation of what it means to be a man, or like, you know, these gender stereotypes. And one of the most disheartening things that I ever experienced was when I was we were competing like on a team, and one of my teammates had brought up that they felt their masculinity through their aggression, and it hit, because like that is like one thing that I've been trying to outrun my entire life, and I think that if you don't come to terms with that, you aren't going to be able to face it head on and really change that narrative. So
Absolutely. Thank you.
It's great.
Wow. Just like such a profound answer, Daniel. I don't even want to follow that, but yeah. I think so much of us are bound to these expectations of our masculinity and these identities, that us doing it is a rebellious act. It's a radical act. And so that's been something that I've taken on headlong in my teaching, in you know, my poetry. But I feel like it's what we owe it to future generations of non-binary folks, of boys who don't fit the mold of traditionally masculine folks. We need to be inclusive and set the example that we should be able to break bounds. I should be able to wear the skinniest of fucking jeans and rock some fucking eyeliner if I want, and not have anybody look at me sideways and question my manhood or masculinity. But we also all fall prey to our own things, right? Like aggression. I still find myself feeling aggressive at time and feeling like I want to take that out in an unhealthy way. And so even if we feel ourselves an example, we are constantly evolving and growing and changing. And I think reflecting that in our work, holding ourselves accountable, and knowing that our work is a constant process and conversation with society and with the world and with ourselves as flawed beings, to be examples that, like, yes, young budding, man, or young developing adolescent, you can be a man full on without being destructive, without being toxic, without being but also knowing that we're gonna fall prey to these things because they're ingrained in us. They are literally ingrained in our fucking societal DNA. So I mean, it's hard for me, and a lot of my work in my poetry is trying to make peace with that and make sense of it, and trying to work it out in my poetry. And just because I articulate something doesn't mean I have anything figured out, but it does mean that I am doing the fucking work every time that I write or I show up and perform, and I hope to make that an example to other young folks also willing to do the work. Yeah.
Woo! Absolutely, Paul. Thank you so much. Well, you know what? We're having such an amazing night. I'm going to say, like, it doesn't matter if we end up wrapping up closer to 10. It doesn't matter because we're excited here. We're all here. We want to hear everything from all of you, and I feel like it's not enough time. It's not enough. I want to hear more poems. I want to ask more questions. We're gonna have to have all of you back. That's the only solution. We need to have all of you back on very, very soon. But Chris, we have to ask these incredible poets our famous last double question. And you know what? Let's start this time from Paul and go backwards through the order. Change it up a little bit.
Well, I think we kind of heard pearls of wisdom, but we'll
reframe a little bit.
Well, we reframe it. It's two parts, right? Number one is, okay, somebody comes to you, a young poet,
a young writer.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind to tell to that young person? Or old, it doesn't have to be a young person. There's a lot of,
a new poet,
people who say, "Hey, I want to be a poet." Any person who's new to it, and then, what book do you tell them? What book do you tell them to read first?
This is a hard one.
That second one is gonna fuck me up for a little bit. I can answer the first one very easily. I would say, do not be afraid to put yourself out there headlong. Just literally. Perform your fucking ass off. Go to the event that you're afraid to attend because you think your voice isn't strong enough. Put yourself out on that stage. Connect with other poets, artists, writers, whatever. Don't be afraid of deep waters because that's where discoveries are made. Don't be afraid of uncovering your own darkness because your darkness is where your truth is found in your work, and that's where you discover the light is you go into the shadow. So that would be my advice because that's the advice I give to my students. I go dark, go deep all the time in my work. And I think my students see that as an example. And they're like, okay, if this motherfucker can just like tell us on the first week in class, I could go and bring up some really dark shit that I wouldn't share anywhere else. Oh man, the book one, fuck.
It could be any book you recommend. We don't want to torture you. Any book that on the top of your mind that you would love to recommend.
You read this week, and this week you would tell somebody to read.
This is so
we
hard.
Come back.
Oh. Maybe come back to me at the end. Yeah.
Or list a few.
Nathaniel's book.
Nathaniel's book.
Nathaniel's book and Elemental's book. No, Nathaniel's book literally is essential reading. It literally is essential reading on masculinity. So if anybody was like, I need to know about masculinity and representation, I'd be like, fucking read Nathaniel Bek's book called, Atrophy of a Boy Who Became a Wishing Well. That's what I would say.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, I haven't read Elemental's book yet, but I know everything that man has ever touched has made me feel like I could punch through 1,000 walls. And Ray Jane's book is gonna be forthcoming. I don't know when. But that shit is going to literally change the atmosphere and the way that our weather systems work on planet Earth. But anyway, I'm going to shut the fuck up and think on
Paul, we love you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Elemental. Pearl of wisdom for a new poet.
Wisdom for a new poet.
Few things. I would have to say, first and foremost, be fearless. So many people, which goes into another thing, get in their own way. And so a piece of that is don't get in your own way. My mentors used to tell me all the time, you have to allow the poem room to come to life. So don't get in your own way. Make sure you speak your truth, right? I met so many poets that get caught up in trying to make sure that they're appeasing other people because they don't want to offend other people. You know, it's so important to speak your truth, and your voice, your story is necessary.
Woo!
Doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, it's necessary. Write it, bring it. If you're not happy with it, comfortable with it, work on it. We'll work on it, but it's necessary.
Awesome. Absolutely.
The book for me, though, I would have to say a book that I came across that someone gifted to me, but it really just changed my thought about how poetry could be written. That was The Last Poets.
Okay.
The Last Poets. If you check out what they do, it's how they, and then they have the nerve to do it with music. But I would definitely at them because they wrote in such a way that it was still revolutionary, but it still was in the voice of the people.
Nice. I will definitely check them out. Definitely check them out. I need to find out. That sounds amazing.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Elemen2al. And Vasilios, what about you? Your pearl of wisdom for a new poet.
I think one thing that I could share with the new poet is that I'm a new poet myself is just tell your story. Like, don't worry about putting. Are you okay? Don't worry about like putting structure to it. Like, don't worry about, is this gonna read well? Is my metaphor and simile, are they marrying each other and living in holy matrimony? Like, that will come. I don't know. That will come as the more you practice it and the more you write. Like, I'm gonna tell a young poet what I tell myself, which is write that shit, bitch. Because most of the time, like, I'll think about it and I'm like, oh wow, that's something to write, but I won't fucking write it. And yeah, so I just write that shit, bitch, and tell a yoon poet that, or any
I
poet.
love it.
But I
I
think it's
love
funny
it.
if you tell a young poet, like an 8-year-old child.
Vasilios, I love it. And I mean, it seems like you've been doing this forever, like how incredibly powerful your poems were and how you delivered them. I mean, and I love that. I love that pearl of wisdom. I feel inspired. I feel really inspired. That is so great. And your book recommendation, Vasilios.
That is hard. I'd also tell the young poet to read more, just like I tell myself to read more. But a book recommendation that I can recommend is a book that was gifted to me a while ago by somebody, and I have to thank her. She's also a poet. Her name is Jimena Lucero, and she gifted me a book. It was called Nepantla, and it's an anthology. It's an anthology of queer poems. It's like one of the first anthologies of queer poets of color.
Wonderful.
So it's an amazing book. Yeah, I think I've read some like pieces to like Paul and some other people like on some like late night Zooms we've had. But
nice. That is absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Vasilios. Ray Jane, your pearl of wisdom.
All right. I would say take up your space. I would say to be kind to yourself.
Yes.
Give yourself grace. Don't create on somebody else's timeline or in somebody else's mouth. Stay in your own mouth. And I think somebody who does that really well, as far as a book recommendation, is a book called Salt by Naira Waheed.
Yes, yes.
So I'm very big on telling our stories as a primary storyteller and not through somebody else's mouth and somebody else's experience, and writing in the way that we speak as well when it comes to form. I think there's something to be said about how we put things together and not always having to adhere to what's classically acceptable. I think that's huge.
Absolutely. Yes, Raging. Thank you so much. And Nathaniel.
I mean, first I would just second everything that everyone has already said already. It like, I mean, they're wonderful, intelligent, and seriously, the words of wisdom. I mean, I'm definitely going to be checking out some of these as well. So like, I'm here learning just as well as everybody else. So I'm not going to come up with anything that like is my own words of wisdom. I'm going to say something that has always stuck with me, which is for something to tell a new poet. There's two things. One thing is the only ever creative writing class that I've ever taken. The professor said that there is no way to teach poetry or creative writing. You just do it, and your own voice will be what it is. So I think that, you know, to try and define, like, it's just as the same way as trying to define what art is. You can't do it. So why try and teach anyone the way? They have to find it in themselves, you know? And then the other thing is something that one of my coaches out of Orlando, Florida, had said, which is you never know who needs to hear the words that you have to say that night. Ooh. So get up and do as many open mics, do as many shows, any space that you can find to get your voice out there. And like everyone has, you know, already said, continue to learn and strive to edit your work. I mean, one thing that I always go back to is editing is the most powerful tool that like any writer can do, which is just never be satisfied or full off of your own work. As far as books, I mean, the shameless plug would be obviously to, like, you know, go over everyone's work that, you know, everyone here has, which definitely pick up The Disappearing Boy and then Elemen2al's book. I apologize. It was I don't have it yet, so I need to get on that because it just came out. So but definitely check out Elemen2al.com and pick up his book as well, and then be looking for Ray Jane's book because that's gonna be fire. But one writer, well, actually several writers that I really enjoy is Hanif Abdurraqib. I just fuck up their name. I apologize.
No worries.
And Michael Lee out of Minnesota, so fellow Midwesterner. And then Joshua Bennett, Dr. Joshua Bennett. So definitely check out all of their work, you know, and the wonderful poets that are here with me.
Yeah.
Right here. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Can I just thank all of you again for such an incredible evening? Okay. Nathaniel Bek, Vasilios Leon, Elemen2al, Ray Jane, Paul LaTorre, you guys are amazing, absolutely amazing. And going to 10 o'clock tonight just proves that we need to have you all back. We need to hear more of you. We need to hear you again. Just bless us with your amazing poetry and wisdom and everything that you have to share. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And thank you so much for our amazing audience for joining us as well. You got to go check out All the Love on Facebook and YouTube. We will see you all next week with Tanya Kohong and
Barbara Crooker.
Yes, more poetry. Woo! All right. Thank you again so much, readers and audience. Have a good night, everyone.